Football is king, don't I know that? Living in Bakersfield, California, it's definitely the king. We're in the central section of California, and football has always been big. When I first moved here in the late 70s, we'd have 10,000 people at a junior college game and thousands at high school games. And, of course, being at the core of college experience for fans, alumni, athletes, prospective students there, everyone. So it's definitely the big money generating thing. In these tough times with COVID and all, definitely been doing cuts, and so they're not going to be touching football because football does kind of subsidize everything else. And so what's been getting hurt, as I've been talking about quite a bit on this podcast, is that track and field cross country has been getting cut left and right, even though it ends up being only a couple $100,000. And this lady is on 60 Minutes, Victoria Jackson. She's a former Arizona. She's now a historian at Arizona State, former professional athlete runner. She says, there's better ways to cut sports, or, better ways to save money than cutting sports. And hopefully she's right, and hopefully we will stop the bleeding. Of course, she does point out that college does help pay for a lot of Olympic dreams, college football, that is. And yeah, there are Olympic sports that colleges have, like rowing and things like that. So hopefully there's a solution, because really cutting sports is definitely not the solution. And especially with Title IX, it often is the men's sports, like here in Bakersfield. Cal State Bakersfield has a really good athletic tradition. But, because of Title IX and budget cuts, we don't have a men's cross-country team. And the track team really suffers because of that. And any really good athlete here in town can't continue their career on a four-year college. This past weekend, there was that great Valencia marathon with 4 men breaking the world record, going sub 58 in the half marathon. And of course, whenever there's records broken, you have to talk about the shoes. This time around, it wasn't the Nike shoes. 3 of the 4 athletes who went under, broke the old world record, were wearing Adidas. So maybe the playing field is getting leveled. I guess just that's the way technology is. And I guess they've also decided that for a while they had to change the rule, saying you couldn't race in prototype shoes, meaning shoes that weren't available on the open market. So you couldn't just make a special shoe for the race, which is rumored to be what Nike did for the 2016 Olympics, when Kipchoge and a number of their other athletes did so well. But they're now changing that rule. It won't go into effect for this coming World Championships or Olympics, but they're changing the rule so that now you can wear prototypes, but you can only wear them for up to a year. And then, they can only be out of the market for a year. And then after that, they're going to have to either be available for everybody else, or you won't be able to use them. And Molly's got to make her appearance. Molly the pug. It is December 7th, Monday, 2020, here in Bakersfield, California. Not a sunny day. Bakersfield used to be, when we used to live here, super foggy. It'd be so foggy that, we'd have like fog school delays where you'd wake up in the morning and listen to the radio. Yes, kids, radio, pre-internet, and find out, and they would rattle off. Today, the following school districts have a 2-hour delay, and then we could roll back over and not have to go to school till 10 o'clock. Our weather is now great. As you've probably seen in the past couple videos, it's been bright and sunny out. It's a little late in the afternoon today, about 4. I'm planning on heading out for a workout shortly. And it's a little cloudier and a little cooler out here. I usually come out here and do my videos because we have such great weather. But when I come outside, of course, the dogs have to follow me, Molly and Milo. Molly, who you just saw, the pug, and Milo, and they got to get the treats. But they're fair weather dogs, so they just headed into the house. Speaking of fair weather, of course, it's been chilly this past few days, and the weasel, a.k.a. Blanca, hasn't been joining me, but she's been joining later in the afternoon. And later in the morning, and sometimes even the afternoons. And that's kind of about, there's all these articles, and I talk about it often, motivation. And you know what? Motivation isn't worth a hill of beans. What you want to do, like most of the articles say, is screw motivation. You can be motivated, but eventually it'll disappear. Just set up a routine and get out there and do it, which is what I'll be doing shortly. I'm going to probably jump on the treadmill. Not because I really want to avoid the weather more. I've been following the Swift has these really great training programs. I'm doing a 10K program myself right now. I'm a couple weeks into it, and it just gets me out and running. I seem like I run better on the treadmill than I do running outdoors for whatever reason. I used to not be able to be on a treadmill for more than 20, 30 minutes. Now I get to be on there for more than an hour. Of course, it's real helpful. Swift app is awesome, really cool. Plus, been watching all the old Sopranos, and it'll be fun to do that. Just got done watching a Spartan race, the national championships in West Virginia, and boy, was that a tough course. It looked fun. Love to do stuff more like that. That's why I'm doing a lot of this cross training, kettlebell, and things like that. But trying to get over all those obstacles would be tough. Be good at the running, good at the swimming, and would be good at carrying those things. But climbing over some of those obstacles, definitely got to work on my burpees. Don't know all the specifics of these obstacle course racing, but I do know that you get penalized. You got to do burpees when you fail on a piece of the equipment, I guess maybe up to 30 burpees. I can do 30 burpees, but man, I do about 3 a minute, so that'd be a 10-minute penalty on my ass. I remember years ago, there's a great runner. In fact, I saw an article by him just recently. Max King, guys qualified for the Olympic trials in the steeplechase. He won 50K, 50-mile races. And a few years ago, he saw that there was a lot of money in these OCR races. And so he went to one, and he ended up winning it because he's a phenomenal runner, sub 4-minute miler. So he won like $25,000. I was like, hey, this is a pretty cool. And what I really like I said, watching the Spartan race, it's amazing. The courses are interesting. They have really good runners chasing and following all the athletes. And it came down to the wire in both races. They were doing like a 13-mile race with some obstacles. So I can definitely see why it's interesting. I myself, as I've talked about here on the podcast, have kind of gotten bored with doing ultras. Don't seem like I'm improving very much, and I'm looking for some new adventures. 57, recovering from a congestive heart failure. So we'll see what happens. On some good news, I've been wondering where this young woman has disappeared. I always destroy these people's names, but Alafine Tillamook, who is an American citizen now, came from Kenya a few years ago, has been a citizen for a while. She ran in our Olympic trials back on February 29th, and she won them. She's very well known for making these distinctive little crocheting beanies, and actually had a pretty good little side business doing it. She won that back February 29th, and then throughout COVID, a lot of people have disappeared, but a lot of her teammates on the Hoka NAZ team have been out racing and training, and they're really good about doing social media. You see them on Instagram. And it's kind of like wondering, not really seeing too much of her. And, of course, Hoka and their coach are putting on this really fast Olympic marathon, qualifying kind of, marathon in Arizona, elites only. C.J. Albertson's supposed to be there, kid from up north, up the road from Fresno, Clovis. And a bunch of, I think Sarah Hall is going to be there. Should be good. And kind of wondering, didn't see anything about her. And just all of a sudden, yesterday, all over my social medias, of course, on Twitter and Facebook. Not Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, people. Twitter and Instagram. Alafine was all over the place. She's 32 weeks pregnant. Congratulations to her. And no wonder she kind of disappeared. And she's expecting, I guess, in like 2 more months. So she'll be expecting sometime in January. And then we'll be training for the Tokyo Olympics. Pretty tight timeline. Thankfully, because of other women who have fought the good fight, like Kara Goucher and I remember Alyssa Montano, an 800-meter runner, and some other women. A lot of these shoe companies have suspended the women, canceled their contracts, this, that, and everything because of getting pregnant. And thankfully, that's not so much anymore. I've heard that Hoka's going to be continuing with their sponsorship with her, and that's a lot of progress. I'm glad that's happened. It was an interesting stat. I remember hearing this before. Alafine is one of 32 kids. Wow, that's a lot of kids. I remember watching football. Dallas Cowboys, Emmitt Smith was like one of 11 or 12 kids, but 32. Then it got me to thinking 32 kids. Good God, that's not one woman. And I thought, is polygamy, what's going on there in Kenya? And I looked it up, went on and Googled it, and I guess in 2014, you can have more than one wife in Kenya. So don't really talk too much about that. Interesting kind of statistic there. Definitely. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how she does. Speaking of pregnancy and athletes, I remember when I was growing up, big fan of the Olympics, especially love the Winter Olympics. I wish I could be cross-country skiing. Just we've got a facility up here, Mount Pinos, great place to train, 9,000 foot. Has a cross-country courses, but they look pretty hard, not like mammoths. But anyways, we just haven't had any snow in years and years, so you can't go up there and cross-country ski. But anyways, I used to watch cross-country skiing especially, and I remember back in like the 70s and, when the Soviet Union was around and Eastern Europeans, and how good their cross-country skiers were, especially their female skiers, and they were all, mothers. And I remember them talking about that it's almost kind of like a requirement from the state that they wanted the women to go through pregnancy, the hormonal changes and just the mental toughness aspect, I guess, of having children, plus having kids kind of focuses you and settles you down. So it's interesting that, the Soviets and other countries were kind of wanting their women to have children for all the benefits, and then here in the United States over the past few years, we've been penalizing women for having children. So, it always interesting how things come about. So that's about it. It's December 7th, 2020, and I'm going to be heading off to my treadmill. And as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic.